Welcome back, everyone, to the Creator Spotlight here on the Spotlight. I'm still Jeremy Lambert. That is still Steven Jensen. And today we are joined from Tom Talks Rubbish. It is the man himself, Tom Talks Rubbish. Tom, how you doing, buddy?
I'm really excited to be here, guys. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we'll just go ahead and get started with the first question here. And that is, how did you get started when it comes to interviewing wrestling media personalities on your channel?
So, to go back a little bit further, my channel sort of started during the lockdown period of the pandemic, right? So, I basically, when I first started my channel, I put up anything and everything. As the name suggested, it was just my good self talking rubbish. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. For sure.
And then, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And then, basically, I started by interviewing people in my life that were affected by the pandemic, like carers, doctors, etc. And then one night, I basically stuck up this video being like, if the universe worked out, these are 10 people that it'd be very cool to interview. And Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic saw it somehow. And at that time, I wasn't very good with Zoom or anything like that. So he basically told me, look, if you want to do it, I will do the Zoom call for you, like set it all up, help you, etc. And I'll edit it for you. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Because this was a hero of mine at the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
For sure.
And I know that you have regrets about that interview, I know, because I know you felt like you were a fanboy about that. You want to elaborate about that a little bit? I thought that was interesting because I've heard you talk about that before.
So, yeah, you are 100% correct. I talked over him a lot during that interview. I was basically asking fanboy questions, and that interview didn't really have any structure. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And you said you wish you'd had more time to prepare, which I understand that too. Like when I first started interviewing people years back, I was the same kind of way where I was just really excited to be able to talk to people I was interested in, but I maybe didn't do the best job preparing. So I thought it was interesting how you talked about that.
You talked about that, and that's interesting because the night Adam sent me the DM, he gave me two opportunities to do the interview, if that makes sense. He gave me the night. Why am I not in focus?
No, you're good. The connection is actually great. Yeah, we hear you loud and clear. So
I'm just not in the box for whatever reason. Which is, but anyway, he gave me two nights that he could have done, which is like the night I put the video up or a couple of days later. And in hindsight, I wish I'd gone, I'm going to take the couple of days later to do some research. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. And was that because you felt it was a big opportunity though? So it was like he said he's free, like let's do it. It's kind of the approach that you took. That's how I did it at first myself as well. So,
so can you repeat that? Sorry, my connection.
Oh, sure, yeah. So basically, you think that you instead of waiting a couple of days, did you do it because it was like, listen, he said he could do this day. He said he's gonna do it. I just want to do it. Like so, it was. You feel like you rushed it, but like I felt I was the same way when I first started getting interviews. It was almost like I didn't want like the opportunity to pass. So it was like, you said you could do it this day, I'm going to do it this day.
Exactly that, Stephen. You've hit nail on the head there.
So when it comes to your preparation style now, like what all goes into, okay, I know I'm interviewing this person. What do you do to prepare for these interviews now?
For example, an interview that I recorded this past week that will go out in a few months is with Larson from Going in Raw. So I will watch a lot of their live streams. I will watch previous interviews that they've done to hopefully not repeat the questions and stuff like that. And I'm really interested in how did content creators become a fan of the content they're creating. So I will look up their fandom, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. Who are some people that you might study when it comes to the interviews? Because you interview a lot of interviewers, but who, if you're not interviewing somebody, who is a people that you might like to study of like, I like their style of interview?
I feel like everyone says this answer, and I don't just want to say it just because I'm on Fightful, but I love Sean's style of interviewing. I love
he's terrible.
He's great, man. I love Chris Van Vliet's style of interviewing. I love someone called, he's actually a buddy of mine, Jacob Kelly. He runs something called the My Social Life podcast, where basically he will talk to creators about how to grow on social media and stuff like that. I love his interview style, so I'll study him and just people like that, really.
Yeah, that's a good list. That's a good list of people.
You guys, if I know a guest has done the spotlight interview, I will find that.
Don't study us. Yeah, don't do that.
We'll put us over. That's fine. I'll accept that praise. I know also. So, you as a wrestling fan, I thought it was interesting to find out that you got into. Unless I am mistaken, you got into wrestling. It was WrestleMania 22, and it was mainly the Edge versus McFoley street fight that sucked you in as a fan, and you credit that really for like making you a fan right off the bat. What are your thoughts? I guess kind of let people know about kind of that experience, because I've seen your video about you explaining this, but for people who may not have seen that, and then also what's it like watching Edge in like real time? Like, that he's still active, and you watching him recently as WrestleMania.
So I was a fan when Edge was wrestling, so that match still means a lot to me. Do you know what I mean? But to see him come back now, it's like, we never thought this was going to happen. So it's like, it's almost like the way I'll describe it is, it'd be like for football fans, it'd be like for basketball fans, I suppose, if LeBron could go up against Michael Jordan. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
We're starting to see all the dream matches and stuff that he never got. So that's really cool. And I'm sorry, but can you repeat the beginning of that question, Stephen?
Yeah, just to elaborate for people who might not know just about, because like, I could explain myself a little bit based on what I know about you. From my understanding, you started renting, or essentially you had like a Blockbuster a video rental store, where you were living at the time, and that's where you started becoming a fan of that. So you started by renting, I'm assuming DVDs because of the time. So it'd be DVDs that you were renting of WrestleMania 22. I say this because I got hooked big time because of VHS tapes, like, because I'm, me and Jeremy are older. But is that accurate? It was you had a Blockbuster where you lived, and that's kind of what started it all.
So it wasn't where I lived. I spent a lot of time in the hospital when I was a kid. So we had a Blockbuster in the hospital.
Right.
I would basically get the tapes and take them back to my room. And there were a few VHSs, actually, just to correct you. I said this on another interview I did recently with the Between Two Beards crew of Love Wrestling. I was like, I think my generation is the generation where VHS died. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do remember VHS, but it's not like I remember it amazingly, if that makes sense. So I still had a few, and yeah, I would just get, I definitely didn't watch pay-per-views in chronological order or things like that. I'd just get, they've got WrestleMania 24 in order. They've got WrestleMania 19. They've got Survivor Series 2001. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. I was the same. Right. I was the same kind of way with the VHS tapes so I was able to watch, WCW and stuff in like the mid 90s when I was watching it, but to find out what was happening before that, and also to keep up with the pay-per-views, because I couldn't watch pay-per-view either. It was just kind of whatever you got, whenever you got it. You just kind of had to piece together when each thing was happening, kind of in hindsight. And then also, so then you had like a gap where you couldn't watch Monday Night Wrestling, right? And then you came back into it in like around 2010, 2011, and you've been like all in since then, really, it seems like.
So yeah, about 2011, 2012, I went for my medical needs, I went to a school that the way I'll describe it, it was boarding school, but you weren't there like 24 hours a day. You were there 2 days a week to basically give your parents a break from your medical needs and to give you some independent living skills. And there was this guy on what was known as the independent flat called Brandon, and he basically had a WrestleMania in his bag because we could bring DVDs. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. So you couldn't watch like cable? Is that accurate? Like you didn't have television you could watch, but you had DVDs that you could bring?
So that's partially accurate because Brandon had an iPad, and we would watch Sky Sports at the time because that's what aired WB. We would watch the previous. So we would go to residential on the Saturday, right? No, sorry, on the Wednesday, and we would catch up with the previous Monday Night Raw, etc.
I see. Okay.
So now, following wrestling now, who are some of your favorites now that you like to keep up with?
Bro, this is going to make me sound like an AEW fanboy, but it is AEW exclusively because in the UK, that's the thing I have the most access to. You know what I mean? It's just a lot easier to watch than, say, WWE. Because WWE is still on cable and AEW is on an app, if that makes sense.
Right. I know AEW is very accessible over there and they do a bigger number than WWE for a lot of that stuff. So as far as AEW, who are some of your favorites when it comes to individual wrestlers?
Bryan Danielson, MJF.
The GOAT.
The GOAT. Yeah. I love Bryan Danielson. MJF. I love Darby. I love this 4 pillars storyline. I'll say that. I'm loving this. Jericho. Like, I feel like I'm just going to list the AEW roster.
That's cool. That's great. A lot of great
Cody,
names.
But I do love people in WWE. Like, I love Roman. I love Cody. I love people like that. And I'm just a wrestling fan. So I'm one of those people that's like, send me this clip. I think this is cool. People will send me stuff and it's like, I'm not loyal to one company, but that doesn't mean I hate another company. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. And that's a kind of a good segue to ask this question. Very important and very relevant and topical. What are your thoughts on Cody Rhodes losing in the WrestleMania main event and then getting beat down by Brock Lesnar? Or should he have just won the title at WrestleMania?
I'd have been fine if he won the title, but then got beat down by Brock. I was like,
yeah.
I didn't see the point in Cody losing. I just didn't get that. Because it's like, Roman, I get they want him to break. Is it Bruno's record? You guys
it'll never break Bruno's record.
Yeah.
It would take till like 2030 to break Bruno's record. But no, they wanted to break 1,000 days. That seems like the big thing.
Exactly. I get they want him to do that, but it's like, especially the way he won, which was basically the same as his Clash at the Castle victory. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly the same. It's like Roman's developed into a formula now, and it's like, I'm bored, and I'm going to be totally honest with you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely know what you mean, Tom. I agree 1,000%.
You're preaching to the choir when it comes to Steven Jensen there, and
absolutely.
Cody Rhodes should have won.
He should have won. Like I said, I was fine if they did everything that they did. Just Cody won at WrestleMania, then Brock beats him up. That's a completely different thing. Now we're I know you laid it out, man. That's exactly. So yeah, good answer, Tom. I think that was actually a great answer to that question.
Who do you think should be the one to defeat Roman Reigns then, Tom?
Cody. I'm sorry.
Right?
It should have been Cody. I will never say anyone else because it should have been Cody. The story was there, and I'm going to get very frustrated now.
I think that there's a chance because I saw so this will be coming out on Thursday. So by the time that this airs, Cody will have already talked on Raw. So this will either be me predicting the future or, totally wrong. But if that dude comes out there and says the next time he challenges for the title, if he doesn't win, he can never challenge for the title again. And it's like the same thing.
Please don't do that.
Yeah.
Please.
No, I know. I'm so scared. Anyways.
Into a corner in AEW doing that. Please don't do that.
Yes, agreed. What was your favorite match from WrestleMania this year?
Oh, this is going to sound, again, like an obvious answer, but Gunther versus Sheamus and Drew McIntyre.
Great match. Yeah, great match.
It was a fantastic match. Tom, are you excited? I know you were looking to potentially go to Wembley Stadium. So 2-part question here. For the AEW show. One, are you excited to potentially go there? And two, like, have you been to a live wrestling event? What was your experience like there?
So I've been to my local wrestling. Like, I'm gonna try and do this, but I'm wearing a WrestleForce t-shirt, which is basically my local promotion, if that makes sense. So I've been to a lot of local wrestling, and I really want to. I've put this on Twitter so many times, but I'm like, one way or another, I'm gonna be at that Wembley Stadium show, and also one way or another, I want to be in Philly next year. I had a lot of FOMO this year, especially since I've become more involved in the wrestling media. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. That would be a heck of a trip for you to come out here to Philly. That'd be awesome. That'd be a lot of fun. I'm really glad I didn't go all the way out to California to be disappointed. That would have been really rough with the Cody thing. But so a question about just speaking of like interviewing people and that kind of stuff and being kind of more part of wrestling media. What's it been like working with Cassidy Haynes over there at Body Slam?
Oh, Cassidy Haynes is the boy. Like, Cassidy is not only an amazing content creator, but he's one of my closest friends. I'll say that in wrestling media, he is one of my closest friends. Even if we don't talk about wrestling media every day, we talk just a "you okay, bud?" text. Do you know what I mean?
That's good. He's a good guy. I roomed with Cass during the weekend of Jeremy's wedding, so we're good people.
Cass is one of the best people, and I want to be mean to him because that's the bit. But speaking honestly, yes, Cass is absolutely with the absolute best of us in wrestling media, and if we could all be more like Cass, this place would be a lot better.
I agree, and I always feel quite honored to work with Cass because at the end of the day, I just did what I was doing, which was an interview with him. I'm going to tell the story of how WrestleWatch came about, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, I just did an interview with him, and I then said to him, I then got a DM the day the interview went live, or a couple of days later. Sorry, Cass, if I'm misremembering. Love you, buddy. But like, he basically sent me a DM being like, try and pitch a show for Body Slam because I'd love to work with you more. And I'm like, what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then so, how did the WrestleWatch come along? Obviously, that was the show you pitched, but did you have other ideas, and why'd you settle on WrestleWatch?
No, I didn't have any other ideas at that time, Jeremy. And it was basically, I don't have any friends to watch wrestling with.
Relatable. That's, by the way, a lot of people that are watching this that are in the chat right now. We all know how that feels. It's a very relatable sentiment, not having friends to watch wrestling with. So it is cool, and that's a big part of like why I like doing these kind of shows, and why I think a lot of people get into like talking about wrestling, whether it's like wrestling media or just like reviewing stuff or YouTube or Twitch or whatever. It's like just so you have other wrestling fans to talk to, like for real, versus like even Twitter is weird because stuff gets so lost in translation and the tone and stuff. Like you only have so many words you can text, So no, that's cool. That's cool that you had that, and then that you got to do with a guy like Cass over there at Body Slam. That's good stuff.
I will say this because the podcast has been on hiatus for a little while, just due to my personal life and Cass's personal life, because I don't know how much he wants me to say. But I'm sure you guys know how it is when you try and do a podcast with Sean. Where Cass runs the site, it's like, it's hard to pin each other down. Do you know what I mean? Especially with the time difference.
Yeah, absolutely. That time difference is brutal.
Cass doesn't sleep, though. Cass
that's
doesn't
true.
Sleep at all.
Cass doesn't sleep. That is
no,
true.
That's true. But this is the thing. With my medical needs, we were starting to do the podcast sometimes at like midnight my time. And it's like, this was towards... I haven't told this story before, so you guys are getting a bit of an exclusive. This was towards sort of, I don't want to say a bad period in my YouTube channel, but like the period where I was obsessed with getting 100 interviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do 100 interviews in a year, and that was it. Whether they were good interviews, bad interviews, something in between. I just wanted to say I did 100 interviews in a year. Looking back, not the best strategy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you feel like you're trying to like force it?
Yeah, I was trying to force it, and I would do an interview, and then they'd go up the day of, which was killing me because I used to have this thing in my head, right, where it was like, this has got to be edited before I go to bed. So I'd record with the person at like 9, 10 o'clock my time, and then be up till 3 in the morning editing. And
Yeah, and
sorry, Jeremy.
I was gonna say, yeah, and the editing. I mean, what a lot of people don't know is that takes more time than the interview because the interview just goes by, and the editing is like, all right, I got to insert this here, I got to mess with this here. Like that's the time-consuming part of a lot of this.
And then I just sort of had this moment where I was like, this isn't healthy. And it was actually my girlfriend that was like, we haven't done a FaceTime call in over 4 months at that time, I think. Like, we used to FaceTime in the evenings. Do you know what I mean? Because we don't live together.
Right.
And she was like, we haven't done one for like 4 months. And that's because I was doing interviews every evening and then editing straight away. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Why am I doing it like this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Too much stress for like, there's a balance there between being like ambitious and wanting to like do good work, but also like burning out and like, you know, there's definitely like a line there that I feel like I understand what you're saying with like putting yourself into a quarter almost of like, I have to do this, when in reality, like you actually don't have to do this. Like you like, it's going to be okay if you don't, like, just keep having fun with it. You know, is that kind of what it was like?
100%. And that was the reason the podcast went on hiatus, was also that, and then a couple of things in our personal lives where it was like, me and Cash just need to find a time that works for both of us, and we're slowly coming around to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Another guy I wanted to ask you about real quick, before I forget, is Anthony. I can't remember. I think he introduced me to you or vice versa. I've known you guys for about the same amount of time, but Anthony from Anthony Talk.
What? Oh, the boy. I love that guy.
Yeah. He's what a great guy, honestly. I mean, I've been on his show multiple times. Another one where it's tough with the time difference, but if you'd like to talk about Anthony a little bit, give him a little bit of a shout out, because I know that you guys have a relationship as well.
So again, Anthony is another guy that has the same medical needs as me. Cerebral palsy. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about it, like, feel free. Like, if you know.
Basically, my legs work, but like they don't. The way I'll describe it is my legs are constantly numb. And like, I'm in a wheelchair. I can walk a bit, I can not. So anyway, back to the original thing. Anthony saw my Adam Pacitti interview and was like, if you want to have me on your channel, I'll do what Adam did for you. I was like, yeah, cool, man. And ever since then, me and him have just had a relationship very similar to my cast relationship, which is we check in every day. It's like, are you doing okay, dude? And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So what do you like to do when you mentioned trying to do 100 interviews? And the thing with this job is it's so much content creation, and it's very easy to get burnt out. And if you're not having fun with this stuff, then it just becomes a job, and that's no fun, because it's covering wrestling, right? Like, it's talking to friends about wrestling, things like that. Like, it's supposed to be fun. So like, when you feel you're reaching that point, what are some things you like to do?
If I did this to you guys, you'll know what I'm saying, right? I love my boxing. I don't know if you guys have seen my videos.
I have, absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
I appreciate you when you tag me in those too, by the way. It's motivating. Yeah, absolutely.
So one of my carers is an absolute guy. His name is Neil. If he watches this, big love to you, Neil. Like, and he basically started to teach me that, like, you don't have to hang out with your friends all the time. We can go do cool things like boxing and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, we go to this. I say this with love, if anyone from my boxing crew is watching this. But like, it's a rundown gym, but it's in the best possible way. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it's like, you know how when you go to a normal gym, you can't really smell anyone sweating unless you're really close to them.
Right.
Yeah.
If you go into this one, it's like, yeah, we're in the right place because it smells like. It's like, because they haven't. It's like an old school gym. It's like every Like, we've had to stop buying our own equipment because everything's ripped and stuff, and like you can tell people have been busting their humps, if you know what I mean. So boxing's my main outlet. My little part-time job is my main outlet at the cinema.
What do you do at the cinema?
So basically, I'm the guy. I don't know how it works in the States, but before you go in, you have to give your tickets to someone so they can check the date, they can ID you, and stuff like that. I'm that guy.
Sure.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have those people in the States.
Have you guys been busy for the Mario movie?
Yep. So today, at time of recording, right? I worked today, and in total, we had, and I also worked Wednesday. We had, in total, my boss told me this, we've had 750 people since the Mario movie came out on Wednesday.
Wow.
It's a big hit. Have you seen it?
Nope, but I'm going Monday, so no spoilies, please.
Yeah, no
Nice.
spoilers
Okay.
either for me. Yeah,
I won't spoil it.
I'm going not this week, but next week. I have like Monday the 24th off of work. That's like a big weekend. Where I got GCW on Friday, Battle Slam on Sunday, and I'm just gonna take that day off Monday to go see the Mario movie. So looking forward to that.
Because part of an employee perk, I suppose, is we get to go in for nothing. Like,
yes, nice.
We just have to flash a card and be like, dude, can you give me a ticket, please? Do you know what I mean?
Yes. What about popcorn and stuff? Any
we get-
deal skis there?
There's one thing I will say. Shout out to anyone from my cinema if they're watching this. It's so expensive, the concessions, right? The popcorn and stuff that you go to somewhere else, right? Before you go in there. Everyone does it. Like, we say this, but
Sure.
we get like 40% off.
Okay.
That's not
That's
bad.
good.
Me
Yeah.
and my sister have both said, we're going to go watch it, because she's already seen it, but she's like, yeah, I want to see it again. Let's go.
Oh, nice. How old is she?
She's 18 and I'm 24, so
Cool.
she's just
Very cool.
slowly started. So the way I phrased it to her was, I remember Mario, she sort of remembers. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then we and Jeremy were playing it on, the Super Nintendo. So, I mean,
I had that.
and then the N64. Yes.
Shout
absolutely.
out to my stepdad who's in the other room. That was like the first thing he ever gave me was his Nintendo 64.
Nice.
Yes.
And I
Still
played
one of
that. I loved that, by the way.
Yeah. Still one of my favorite games of all time, Super Mario 64. Still
I
totally
agree.
holds up.
I agree.
You can play those games on like the Switch now. They have like the old
The
like
converter.
retro thing on the Switch. Yeah.
Luckily I've still got a working N64 like in my living room. Like I can just play Super Mario 64 right now on the old setup. So
There
sure.
you go.
I haven't played it for ages, but I want to play it again before Monday if I can.
Yes. Yes.
You guys will enjoy the movie. No spoilers. I'll just say you guys will enjoy the
I'm
movie.
very
as Mario
excited
fans.
because that's one thing that's cool about the cinema. You do get a gauge of when people come out the film. You do get a gauge of that was terrible. That was really. Do you know what I mean? And we've seen nothing but smiling faces when people have come out.
Good. Yeah, my kids really enjoyed it when we went to go see it the other day. So you guys will have a good time with it. Tom, who are some of the people that you would like to interview that you've not interviewed yet?
So this is sort of going to lead to the reason that I asked to be on here right now when we was discussing it. I'm sure Stephen knows because we've discussed it, and I'm sure Jeremy knows, right?
I'm not told anything. Nobody tells me anything around here.
What interview's going up this week is an interview with the great man that is Sean Ross Sapp.
Yep, it's going to be coming out. Like you're going to hear this interview on Thursday, and then it comes out on the 15th. Yours,
the 14th.
The 14th,
so Friday.
Okay. Oh, so literally the day after. So tomorrow, if you guys see this tomorrow, you can watch this interview Tom's talking about.
Mm-hmm. So that was a big bucket list one, and that was one that I never thought was going to happen because big love to Sean because he's always been very good to me with the boxing, with any time I've done work with you guys. Like, he's been nothing but cool. Do you know what I mean? But he, for whatever reason, you guys might know the reason. I don't, and that's cool. I like it to remain a mystery. He put a tweet out a few months ago just being like, until further notice, I'm not doing any shows unless it's Fightful, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember that tweet.
So, and then as I did 100 interviews last year, I was getting close to 150 episodes overall. And I just put out this, I just shot my shot and said, I know you said you're not doing any interviews, but I'm approaching 150 episodes. Would love for you to be my 150 guest. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
And shockingly, well, not shockingly, but I think he said yeah. And you guys can correct me on this. I think Sean respected me because he'd seen some of my work and bits like that. But also, you good people have been on my channel. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I never said to you during the interview, hey, if you want to put a good word in with Sean, that'd be cool. Do you know what I mean?
Right. No, you never asked me
Yeah.
to like try to get him for an interview or anything like that.
So I think Sean respected that, and like that, he was a bucket list one. Chris Van Vliet is a bucket list one. That'd be awesome because I like we was talking about at the beginning of this conversation. He's an inspiration to me as an interviewer. Tom Campbell from Cultaholic is a big one because he's another inspiration. Simon Miller is another big one. I think that'd be cool. They're sort of the main three at the moment.
I don't want to blow up Sean's spot here too much. I know when he tweeted that, it was a thing of just like he had been doing so many other just like projects that were non-Fightful adjacent. And I think he was just burned out on a lot because he was saying yes to like everything. And so he said that, and then he just became a little bit more selective. And obviously he has people that he has a lot of respect for, like yourself. And so he didn't have an issue doing that interview. So I think when he put that out there, it was a thing of like he was saying yes to anything and everything, and he was burning himself out with everything else he has going on. And so he was like, all right, please, I got to slow down a little bit.
Which at the start of this conversation we talked about, because I went through that a lot, right? So I fully respected that. But I also grew up in a household. We have a catchphrase in my house, and we have it on our front door, which is, if you don't ask, you don't get, right?
For sure.
So I basically threw it out there and was like, if you want to, great. But if you don't, no hard feelings.
Yeah. The worst he's going to do is just block you. I mean...
I was really hoping that wasn't going to happen, Steven.
No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
He only blocks people if they're jerks and stuff. Tom is the furthest thing from that. So
that was the joke. That was everyone knows that Sean blocks people. That's the only reason
I'm gonna
that. Obviously, he's not gonna block a friend of ours who's asking if he wants to do an interview. That's much different, obviously. So that's cool.
You know what I mean? It's like if it happened, great, but if it didn't, no hard feelings.
I'm gonna get you blocked by Sean, Steven Jensen. That's gonna be my next goal.
I thought you were talking to me then. I was like,
no, Tom, I like you. I'm not gonna get you blocked. I'm gonna get Jensen blocked just for the bit. Van Vliet would be a good one. Van Vliet is someone that I think everyone who does interviews like has an amount of respect for because he's interviewed seemingly anyone and everyone, and he's such a good conversationalist as well. And there's a lot to be learned from Chris Van Vliet.
Yeah, and I feel the same with Tom Campbell, if I'm honest. Like, because he did a great show. I haven't seen an episode in a while, but he did a great show called Desert Island Graps on the Cultaholic podcast feed.
That's a very good interview series for people who have not checked that out.
And that's one that I'm like, I just want to sit under their learning trees. Selfishly, you know what I mean?
For sure. And get Desert Island Graphs for those who aren't aware. The concept is basically he interviews wrestlers and he says like, what are the 3 matches if you're on a desert island, the 3 matches that like you would be taking with you, and then they talk about the match and how it affects them, you know, whether they were part of it or whether it was something that they that stuck with them as a child, anything like that. So it's a really great concept that they do over at Cultaholic with the Desert Island Grab. So that 2 good choices there with Van Vliet and Tom Campbell. Sean Rossap. Sure. He's a wrestler now, from what I've heard. Like he's not an interviewer anymore.
Which is quite funny because when I interviewed him, a segment that we talked about was, will you ever wrestle again?
Sorry,
Jeremy.
No, you're fine. Yeah, he got in the ring. He attacked Shaza McKenzie, friend Shaza McKenzie, fellow Swifty Shaza McKenzie. Now, I don't know if he's going to wrestle again, but he's being a jerk to a Swifty, and I don't appreciate that.
But as I say, that was one that was like, that was a bucket list. And I'll always be like, I put this quote out recently. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was like, I will always be humble for everything I've got because I know I could always have less. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I feel so lucky to be in the position I'm in. And it's almost like, I do feel like I do pinch myself every time I do an interview because it's like, I'm going to wake up soon and it's going to be like, none of this happened and it's still going to be 2021.
You're always great about posting inspirational quotes on your timeline. I don't think people understand just like how much other people sometimes need that kind of stuff. And so I appreciate that you do things like that.
So that started as, obviously I have a care company that works for me, right? Due to my medical needs. And that started as just a way to keep my friends motivated. Do you know what I mean? Like my friends in the care company. It was like, you know what? I've got friends across the pond now, and I've got friends on Twitter that might need some motivation. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. That was the initial idea. And it was almost like they make me smile, they might make others smile.
Is there anything else that you have like kind of your mind on as far as like the boxing seems to be going really well? Is there anything else that you've thought about, like maybe that's similar to boxing or another like hobby or anything that you think you might be able to get into, like now that the boxing is going so well?
I don't know, because I like movies, I like TV. It's like I don't really have time because I try and go out with my friends every so often. I try and make time for the girlfriend and bits like that. I still consider this a hobby. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's still like, this is still fun to me. And this is something that I will fully say. And it's like, if this stopped being fun, you guys talked about it, I would just disappear. My Twitter would be deactivated. The last few episodes were there and poof. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely know what you mean with that. I feel the same way with having the, me and Jeremy joke a lot about stuff on the show, and like, I'm just on here occasionally. I just do like the week, Thursday mornings and Sunday, and then whenever 4 times a year when the Impact pay-per-views are around. Degrassi dudes occasionally. Me and Jeremy have talked about maybe some stuff for Overbooked, but I feel the same kind of way, dude. Like, I can play it as cool as I want to, like on screen or whatever, but a lot of the time after an interview or like after we talk to a wrestler or something, I'm like, that's really cool that like thousands of people get to see that we just talked to this guy or this girl, or we don't discriminate, non-binary, whatever. Like whoever we get to interview, like I just think it's really cool that like we have a platform where we can use a platform to help kind of get other people's stuff out there too. So like I think it's just cool, like with this little bit of power that we have, I feel like we're doing a lot of good with it. So that's and I feel like we're doing the same.
And you talked about that. One of the most interesting conversations I've had recently, which will air in a few months, is I had a good friend of mine on that has nothing to do with the wrestling media, but is a massive wrestling fan. And I was really curious to know, how does he balance his fandom with being at college? How does he balance his fandom with... It's called Wrestling with Real Life. That's what the episode will be called. How does he balance his fandom with real life? And it was like, that was such a cool conversation.
Looking forward to
you
that.
Never know. Yeah. And you never know when you talk to these people, like what kind of stories they have to share. So it's always interesting to learn about people, whether obviously we're wrestling centric, but then you learn about life and everything, which is really fun. And sometimes the most fascinating stuff when it comes to these conversations.
Tom, I agree.
Tom, 2 more questions for you. One, who would win a hypothetical street fight between Cody Rhodes and Eddie Kingston?
Hasn't that match technically happened?
Yeah, Cody won. Thank you.
It wasn't a street fight, though.
Yeah.
I guess it
was.
Fight.
It was a no DQ match.
It was.
Sorry, man, but it was a no DQ match.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for setting the record straight on that. You're the first person to actually say that on the show, by the way. We've asked many guests.
First person to be wrong about this answer.
First person to bring up truths. I agree. So Cody is that your official answer? Street fight, Eddie Kingston, Cody Rhodes. You got Cody?
Yeah. So Cody Rhodes won because that match happened.
I there we go. Okay.
Second question. We'll get you out of here on this. What's the coolest thing in your room, Tom?
Yeah.
Can
If
you
there's any
repeat
way to get
that? Just
yeah,
gonna
the
cut
cool.
out completely.
Oh, yeah, the coolest thing in your room. I don't know if it's near you, if you get it.
Hold
Or
that
like,
thought. I will be 2
Yeah.
seconds.
perfect.
Okay, no problem. Can't believe Tom is over here using an official AEW match to answer this question.
Cannot reach. Sorry, cannot reach.
Oh,
That's
can't
okay.
reach. That's okay. Tell us about what
Yeah,
it is.
tell us about it.
I have 2 cool things, and this is shout out to the Inside the Ropes crew, Kenny McIntosh, Jen Louise, and all that crew. I
Great
got
people.
some 2 wrestlers last year, Kurt Angle and William Regal. I have a signed 8x10 by William Regal, and I have a signed, I think it's like a poster from Kurt Angle. I did 2 amazing trips, one to London and one to Manchester, with my carer that wasn't a wrestling fan. His name is Luke. Shout out to him if he watches this, because he's like a brother. He's like a brother to me. Shout out to him. And like, I've converted him into a wrestling fan now because of those trips.
That's awesome.
Nice. Yeah,
Very,
Inside the
very cool.
Ropes. Inside the Ropes crew, Kenny McIntosh, one of the nicest people in the sport. So yes, shout out to both of them.
I wanted to ask you, just because I'm very curious about this real quick before we get out of here. Have all your caregivers always been like really supportive of like the wrestling fandom like that? Like the last guy you were just talking about?
Yeah, because
That's awesome.
they're one of the people that the thing I'll say about KRX, they're great people, and it's like they are the people that they just want. You know how some carers are obviously in it for the money. I'm sure you guys experience that. No, they are 100% not, and they just want us to pursue our passions, and like especially with what I don't want to say us disabled people, quote unquote, but us. Especially with the people that had to isolate during the pandemic. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
We had 2 years of basically being told, you can't do this. So now they're like, go and do it. Go have fun. You know what I mean?
Yes. That's awesome. Very good. That's
Good.
great to hear.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Tom, thank you for joining us today. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
Thank you for having me, guys. Like, this has been awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, we appreciate
it. Plug all your stuff.
Yeah.
Put yourself over, dude.
The good people can find me at Tom Talk Trash on Twitter. They can find my YouTube channel, Tom Talk Trash. They can find the Wrestle Watch podcast on bodyslam.net, wherever you get your podcast, and on the bodyslam.net YouTube channel. And Jeremy, can I plug this? Will it be out yet? But do you know
It should be out. It should be out by the time everybody listens to this if you want to plug it.
So I did a pilot show for Overbooked with Rob Wilkins called Loving Wrestling, which is basically where I will have a guest on, hopefully monthly if the show does well, right, Jeremy?
Yes. Yep.
Basically, because wrestling is a very toxic, negative place, I want to know, sometimes it can be, sometimes it can be great. I want to know, why does my guest love wrestling?
Okay, the first episode is up now on Fightful Overbooked with Rob Wilkins, so everyone can go check that out, and there will be monthly episodes where Tom talks to various people
one thing I will
about.
say. My career would not happen without Rob Wilkins because he has been so good to me. Do you know what I mean?
He's a great guy. Yeah,
Yes.
Rob's awesome.
Yeah.
He's been
And,
a guy that's like, you can do this, man. Do you know what I mean?
Good. Yeah. Rob's a great guy.
Before we wrap this up, is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
The night I was recording my Sean Ross Sapp interview, I had a small panic attack.
No.
Because I was so nervous, right? And it's the first time I'd been nervous since I did an interview, probably since the Adam Pacitti one, right? So I basically texted Rob and said, look, I might have to text or message Sean and be like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. Like, it's making me too nervous. Do you know what I mean? Next thing I know, Rob sends me a Zoom link like, let's talk. Let's go over your research. Let's calm you down. Do you know what I mean? Because you've worked too hard for this opportunity. So nothing but love for Rob Wilkins. Nothing but love for you guys. Thank you for having me on, guys. This has been a blast.
Yeah, awesome. That's a great story. Rob's a great dude.
He is.
Definitely a great dude. And that's a great story. That's great to know. And also make sure y'all check out the interview that Tom's talking about. It's available tomorrow. If you're hearing this on Thursday during the spotlight, it's available on Tom's YouTube channel. Check it out. Tom Talks Rubbish. Sean Ross Sapp interview. That's huge. That's huge. Good for you, man.
Will there be links to my stuff?
Yes, below
Yes.
in the description of the video.
Yep.
Subscribe.
Everyone
It'd be
check
great
out.
Yes,
There you go.
subscribe.
Everyone check out all the links below. Follow Tom on Twitter. Check out his YouTube channel. Again, the links are in the description. Everybody, Tom, thank you again for joining us here today. Guys, we will be right back here on the Spotlight.